welcome once again to Women to Women. It's a pleasure to have you with us. Again, we have a very special young woman this time. She's only number 2 on my list that I've interviewed at this age, tender age of 26. I'm going to introduce you to Amanda Penfold in just a few moments. But first, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Carpa Nevada LLC, importer of fine Portuguese olive oil, international teas, and balsamic vinegar, as well as Vila Basque Deli Cafe, home of Pete's famous Basque chorizo. So join me now for this interview with Amanda. Amanda, thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thanks for having me come over.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Amanda, I want you to just relax, take it easy, okay? It's unusual, really, for Women to Women to have a 26-year-old guest with us. Mostly I focus on women who are 40 or over, but you have a working background, you have a working ethic, and you have a deep sense of commitment, I'm sensing, to those people that you work for and that you work with. So I'd like to have you I know that you're part of the Reno Rodeo Gals, okay? I know that horses are part of your life, but I also know that you have a valid interest in one of our smaller businesses here in Carson City, which is a very important business to the entire area. But before we get there, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you come from, what kind of a family you grew up in, what did you like to do as a kid?
Well, actually, I was born in Southern California, but in '91, we actually moved to Gardnerville.
Okay.
And which was a very small town when we moved there. And
you've seen lots of change.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, lots of changes. And basically, you knew everybody when you lived down there, too, back when I was young. And
You're still young, I want to remind
you.
Okay,
I feel old.
You're not at all. Continue.
But yeah, so my family, we were homeschooled. And so my mom was the one that taught us. My dad was like the principal. And we grew up around horses. We were part of the sheriff's posse. And
You're part of the sheriff's posse?
We were.
You were, okay. What did that mean?
Well, that was a family volunteer situation that we did, and rode horses, did events, did the parades. We had barn dances, anything that involved the community we were a part of, and it involved the sheriff's people as well.
All right. Now, where did this love of horses develop? Were your mother and father, you're from Southern California, but were you introduced to the farms, to the ranches, and the horses in Southern California, or was this new to you when you came to Nevada?
Well, when I was living there when I was under 5, actually, we lived on a 20-acre ranch, which my dad actually grew up on that, and it was more than 20 acres. It was actually a farm that he grew up on, so it meant work to him.
Yes.
And so it was already kind of instilled in us, in our blood, and then we moved to Nevada. It wasn't until about I was 10 when we started getting horses, but my dad wanted nothing to do with them because of the work of it.
Okay, so how did you convince him to let you have horses? Girls love horses at that age.
Well, we had to work for it. For a whole year, we had to show that we could take care of other animals before.
Such as?
Waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning and taking care of our dogs and cats and clean up after them. And my mom was the one that pushed to get our very first horse. And
so it was a shared commodity.
It was.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we actually did everything until my dad realized how much work we were doing, and he's like, that's not supposed to be that much work. And that's how he kind of got involved in it. But we made it fun for him. We didn't just make it work, because it's a lot of work, but he learned to enjoy it. But I think the most thing that happened was we got him into team roping.
In team roping? So he has a good throw, and he has a good eye, and he has a good sense of distance, right?
He does. Very good hand-eye coordination, and he's analytical, too.
Oh, okay.
So he still does it to this day, actually.
Now, how many, did you grow up with brothers, sisters?
I have one of each. An older sister and a younger brother.
So you're the middle kid. Okay.
Yeah.
And in the pecking order, that's significant, okay, because you have to really work between someone who might like to be your boss or be a little bit bossy, and someone who's still, the youngest, and looks to you for guidance and direction, all that. It's a pretty important role as a middle child.
It really is, and I've learned that just growing up, and I'm actually glad I'm not the oldest. My sister plays that role really well, and she's a good role model, to tell you the truth. Yeah.
Okay.
But
What makes that role scary, that being first, to you?
Having to do everything first. I don't think I'd want to do everything first.
And I think you're right in this way, Amanda, that parents do look at their firstborn as their focus of attention. They're experimenting, so to speak, in a nice way with that firstborn boy or girl to see what they like, where they like to go. Can you do this yet? Can you move this way? Can you draw this? Can you write that? Okay, It's a lot of pressure on a little kid.
Yeah, it is.
Well, how does the little one respond to all of that?
I think he likes it. He learned a lot from both of us.
Yes.
Even though they were both married before me.
Okay.
Yep. So,
Okay. You're independent in that nature.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So raising the horses in Gardnerville became somewhat of a way of life for you, in the sense that how did that lead to the rodeo, the Reno Rodeo?
Just my passion for horses. My siblings actually, my sister still loves it, but I'm the one that does it the most.
Okay.
But I also like to be involved with people. I'm a very social butterfly, you want to call
Okay.
it. And I always wanted to do it, and I'm the one that kind of does the new stuff. And so I
You're
wanted
the adventurer.
So I got into it, and I've been doing it for 5 years now.
What is your role at the Reno Rodeo?
What is my role? My role is carrying any sponsor flag that basically they give to us.
Okay, so
And-
all that bevy of girls, that bevy of beauties on horses,
Yeah.
one of them is you.
Yes.
And you carry the sponsor flag around the inside of the arena. Okay. So it means that you really have to know your horse well, and that horse has to trust you completely for all the directions within there around other horses.
Yeah, and not only that, they have to be not afraid of anything too. You have to expose them to so much that they have to feel comfortable as you do. And I got a great little mare that is awesome for it too. And she's showy. She likes to look pretty.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Have you ever taken a tumble or had a bad fall from a horse?
yes, actually I have.
When did that happen? What happened?
A couple years ago, actually, I got on one of our young horses that I was working, and my fault took him out on not a very good day. And he took advantage of me, and
How can a horse do that?
very easily, actually.
Really?
If
Okay.
they sense that you are not confident in what you're doing, they know that and will take advantage anyway.
They're
But
very
he-
intelligent.
Very much so. And he did, and I basically lost my balance and got me off. And I wasn't able to ride for a week.
But no bones broken.
No, knock on wood.
Okay, because usually when you're working with an animal of that size, the first time I got on an elephant, I said, what am I doing up here? This is really a far ways from the ground. I know how I got up, but I can't get down. So that was the end of my career with an elephant. But it takes a lot of sensitivity on your part to communicate with an animal
It does.
as intelligent as a horse. How long have you, what is the name of your mare?
Lucy.
Lucy. How long have you and Lucy been together?
Oh gosh, she's 19 now, and we've had her since she was 6.
And what's the average age for a horse to live?
The average is about 30,
Okay.
which
So Lucy has good years left in her.
she does. Yeah.
Now, let me learn this from you, because I know that you have, okay, we've learned you've got good communication skills with people, with animals. You take the responsibility of labor for keeping an animal healthy, well-fed, cleaned, etc. And you grew up on a ranch, so there are chores for everyone on a ranch to take care of.
Definitely.
And you were homeschooled. Whose decision was that in the family?
That was actually both my parents.
All right.
I agreed with them.
Okay. Had you been to public school at all?
Yes, actually up through half of my semester in 7th grade.
All right, so your elementary and part of your middle school years were spent in public school. What made them decide, you suppose, to make that? It's a huge decision to homeschool.
It is. I think the decision was the fact that they wanted us to have more control of our education and what we were learning. Like, we grew up around adults, so we actually wanted to excel as young adults because nowadays people kind of tend to want to go backwards instead of go forwards and wanting to be older and live life and everything like that. And so we learned pretty young to I mean, even adults were like, "Oh, you're looking us in the eye," and it's like, well, I was taught to do that,
Yes,
and we were
yes,
young, you
yes.
know, and it intimidates people when you look them in the eye, because it's a respect thing when
Yes.
you look somebody in the eye.
That's right.
And
Yes, I'm a teacher, so I'm looking you right in the eye, and you're looking me right in the eye too, okay?
Yeah.
I think that's wonderful. What is the difference after graduating from being taught in the home by your parents? Your mother was your only teacher or just one of the teachers?
well, she was the main teacher.
All right, because usually in homeschooling, there can be several involved.
We did our own curriculum as well.
Okay.
And
But your curriculum has to fit the state of Nevada, is that correct? In order
it
to
does.
graduate?
You have to have all your basics. Yes.
All right. What was the difference between, other than you were not in a physical building, you were at home or in other parents' homes as well during the,
Just our home.
just your home? All right, so that's your base of operation. After graduating from being homeschooled, what are the benefits? And perhaps what were some of the challenges or difficulties that you also faced? First of all, what were the benefits to this day that you appreciate?
I appreciated the time that my mom, well, and dad took to teach us, and we had these books that would explain everything to you, so you didn't just have to memorize things. You actually learned, you know,
Why something was as it was.
exactly.
Okay.
And the other thing too is you could get your, you know, all your stuff done in 2 hours as opposed to 6 hours that the schools would put into a day basically.
But I'm also curious about this, Amanda. Okay, as a public school teacher, but with many friends who are teachers who have homeschooled their children, which I like it very much. I have no problem with it. Where did your extracurricular activities come in at? Like your phys ed, your music, your art, any of sports? How did you handle that?
I handled it pretty well actually because we were pretty well-rounded growing up. My folks did, besides rodeo, my sister and I, we sing together.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, we got that in there, which
You have the gift of musical voices.
more so together than apart. I mean, we're good apart, but we're more better together.
Where do you sing?
At home, and, well, my sister doesn't sing too much anymore. She's more shy than I am.
Okay.
And where else did we sing? We sang in FFA. We did FFA. And what else did we sing? We sang...
So your parents have made sure that there was a public part of you in your life.
Oh, definitely.
Yes. Okay, as well as an academic. So you graduated, but how did you feel? Did most of your other friends go to public schools?
Most of them did.
So did that ever create a barrier for you or a difficulty? There certainly had to be challenges being homeschooled as opposed to publicly schooled because of events, because of transportation, being with other kids. What was one of the challenges that you remember having to deal with?
Well, one of the things is that when people went to prom and
Yes.
that kind of thing, it was difficult because I could go with somebody that if I knew them, but if I didn't, I never went to prom actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's unusual to find a young lady in this day and age who's not been to a high school prom. But you don't look any the worse for it. No. Okay. Well, when we come back, Amanda, we're going to talk about the other types of work that you've done in order to come to where you're at Northern Nevada Coin and a business here in Carson City. So we'll be right back. Don't go away.
When a disaster strikes our region, will you be ready? Learn about sheltering in place. Since each emergency is different, make sure you plan for alternate routes away from your neighborhood. Plan meeting places and long-distance phone numbers if you are separated. Assemble food, water, medicines for at least 3 days, and a portable radio to stay informed. Remember, make a plan, assemble a kit, stay informed, be ready. For more information, contact your local emergency manager.
Wildfires can get big, really big.
But embers, as small as this, are the biggest threat to your home.
Embers can be carried more than a mile from the fire.
Even homes located blocks away from the actual flame front are still vulnerable to complete destruction.
Visit livingwithfire.info to get your Ember Awareness Checklist so you can take action ahead of time to reduce the wildfire threat
Your home can survive.
when the embers arrive.
Welcome back to the second half of Women to Women. I'm Carol Paz, your hostess, and we have Amanda Penfold, a very British name for a very Western young woman. So thanks for joining us again. Amanda, we had left off in the first half, okay, kind of with your growing up period, your homeschooling, and you shared with me during the break time that there were some challenging subjects for you, okay, and one of those was math.
Yes. I'm like, wait a second here.
And this is interesting because you made a very wise statement during the break time that there's a big difference between a 16-year-old, a 17-year-old, and an 18-year-old. Mm-hmm. And one of the instructors, okay, for math, had simply said to your parents, I think Amanda's not quite ready to take the math exam for the state of Nevada yet.
Right.
And they still want you to take it. And what happened?
Well, I didn't pass.
Okay.
She was right.
So, and learning how to handle that kind of an answer, that kind of a result, takes a certain maturity on your part. What did you go back to do before you took it again the second time?
I just studied because I wanted to pass it. I mean, it bothered me that I didn't pass it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So once you took it the second time, what were the results?
Aced it.
Aced it, okay, okay. And that leads me, what other types of jobs have you held, Amanda? Once you graduated, did you go on to college?
You know, actually, I didn't.
Okay. What was there in your thinking that said, you know what, I'm going to pursue another line, another direction in my life? What was it about college that made you decide at that time? Now, maybe you go back later on, who knows, a lot of women do. Mm-hmm. But why no?
I think it was an immaturity on my part that I wasn't ready for it. I wanted to work physically.
All
That's
right.
what I wanted to do.
You're a laborer.
Yeah.
And you know, that's wisdom on your part too, Amanda. Knowing that the academic life, I mean, I always felt, I was very, very grateful. I was very blessed. My parents paid for my education, but I didn't want to let them down.
Right.
So they were sacrificing to send their daughters and their son to college. And I knew that I was there for a purpose. And I wasn't there to have a great time, a party time. I went to a tough university. I went to Ohio State. So my parents said to me, make up your mind. You can't go out of state. You can go in state, anyone you want to go to. But you have to make it count. You have to make it work because you need a degree to do what you want to do, which was teach.
Right.
Okay. So I applaud you for being a young woman of insight who said, at this point in my life, I want to do more physicalness. I want to be with my horses. I want to be with people. So that opportunity to go back still lies in your future if you so choose.
It does.
Right. Okay, so here we go. You want to work. What did you do?
Well, actually, I worked for a horseshoer.
Shoeing horses.
Well, I didn't do it myself.
Okay, that's really labor.
He did most of the shoeing. I learned.
Okay.
But I also worked horses and cleaned stalls. Anything that I could get my hands on, pretty much. And he also taught me to rope.
To rope. All right. What does it take? Good eye-hand coordination, as your dad has, but you may have inherited that from your father as well.
I think I did.
What do you rope?
Steers.
Baby, big ones? What size?
Medium-sized ones, actually. They're probably about a year old.
Okay. And what is the technique that works for you to get that steer on the ground, roped in a certain amount of time? How much practice does that take?
It takes quite a bit of practice, actually. And I rope good when I'm mad.
We do a lot of things as women while we're mad. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The steer knows you mean business.
Yeah.
Do you have to use the same steer over and over to rope?
No.
Oh, good.
You
okay.
have quite a few, actually. You wear them out. Yeah.
Okay. So after you learned how to get a steer down on the ground and go on from there, has all of your work, the physical part of your work, been with the rodeo or with horses? Have you ever worked another job, say in a corporation or in a small business?
I have. The main corporation I worked for was Costco.
Costco. Okay. And what did Costco require of you?
A lot of physical labor. But Costco is also a very good company to work for. And I'm very versatile, so I can do a lot of different things.
Okay.
And it benefits when you can do that because they can use you in different areas.
Yes, yes. And you weren't afraid of work. You had a really good attitude towards it. So how did Costco lead you to where you are now?
good work ethic and hardworking. And basically, if you work even better than the person next to you or try to do that, you get noticed more. And it has helped me mentally a lot, actually.
Tell us who you work for now. What is your position?
I work at Northern Nevada Coin, and I'm a metal specialist, meaning buying and selling gold. But it doesn't end there.
Okay.
There's a lot more to it than that. I mean,
Help us understand. What does it take to become a metal specialist?
that takes a lot of persistence and a lot of hard work. Customer service is one of them.
Yes.
And that's just basically communicating with people and knowing what they need. Because it's a giving to the community, because in a small business, even though it's a growing business, you have to, basically understand people. I mean, you're almost kind of like a shrink, because you talk to people all day long.
Especially in that field, people want to know questions way beyond your years, sometimes with a background of history that goes way out here, and you're 26 and they're asking for 80 years worth of experience, okay? That's a challenge. Now, did you have to study gemology or geology to learn the characteristics of silver and gold, other precious metals?
No, actually, I didn't.
How did they teach that to you?
They teach it hands-on is how you learn.
Okay.
And you can study too, which they give you books to study, so you can know your stuff and know what you're talking about.
Right.
And from a young person learning that kind of thing, you almost have to go the extra mile. Because
Absolutely.
when somebody who has more experience than you are looking at you, going, okay, you should know what you're talking about, and they need to trust you on that.
That's right. They're investing their money. And these days, somebody has a lot of it. I don't, okay? Somebody has a commodity on it. But no, I have invested in silver and gold, and I have come to those places that have good reputations from people talking.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Yes. So is this something that you would like to continue with in the future for any number of years? Do you really have this passion in your heart for these precious metals?
I think I have a passion for customer service.
For people, again, for people.
Yeah.
And what makes working in a store, in a business like this, so personable for you?
That it's very family oriented. And
Okay.
the people I work with, when you spend that much time with people you work with, you better like them, which
And vice versa.
which I do. And I like doing my job. I like, being able to help people. That's like one of my passions, is helping people.
So Amanda, here in Carson City, at Nevada Coin, Northern Nevada Coin, what are you're versatile. So what do they ask you to do besides waiting on customers, learning the business? Do you go out and investigate any kind of other minerals for them? Does it take you on traveling jaunts at all?
Not exactly traveling, no.
Okay.
But basically, I personally go out and learn what I can about every little thing. If it's jewelry, if it's coins, if it's currency, I'm kind of one of those that likes to know about things.
Yes.
So I go digging more so, because I like to help in any situation that I can.
And you probably have seen many emotions over these past 3 or 4 years. How long have you been with Northern Nevada Coin?
Almost a year, actually.
Oh, a year. Okay. So you're still a novice, you're still learning, okay? But what I like about you is that you're so open to learning. You're so open to caring about how you do, what you do for people, all right? And that's so important. The attentiveness that you give to each customer makes us either return or go away forever.
It does.
Now, what are some of the cautions when working with precious metals do you have to observe? There are different hardnesses, right?
There is.
Different qualities. So how do you have to be careful when you work with these precious commodities?
Well, you have to be careful of what you're buying or what you're selling, mainly what you're buying in.
Okay, how do we be careful about that?
Well, just on a basic scale, like especially when you're working with just the gold or silver, you gotta know what the metal is, and you gotta test it if it doesn't tell you what it is. Even if it does tell you, you gotta, do your basically dig into your brain and go, okay, is this real or is this not real? Because you can get people that
Are trying to fool you with fakes.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, how do you work with If a person of, let's say, 65, 75 years of age, 55 walks in, they're knowledgeable about what they're doing. Do the owners of this family-owned business allow you to work with that older person, or do they kind of say, at this point, our experience, Amanda, needs to work with them? You observe, you listen. Or do they just turn you loose on the customer?
Both, actually.
Both?
Uh-huh.
Okay. What have you learned from customers?
I think I've learned that, especially...
What have they taught you?
They've all taught me a lot. They've taught me they taught me their experiences. They've taught me how to, I don't know how to explain it exactly.
It's okay. Give it a shot. Okay, just by listening to them, sometimes the listening skills are more important than the talking skills, because you have to know why they came in, so you have to hear them. You have to know what's bothering them, what concerns they have, what interests they have, so you have to hear them.
That's right.
And sometimes there's a need to call in a friend, to call in, the business owner or one of the family and say, here's the situation, and I'm wondering, what's the best way to be able to help this customer? So they're at ease, you're at ease, and so is the ownership.
Right.
Okay, very important. Amanda, I can see all kinds of possibilities for your future, all right, in Northern Nevada, but just as a young woman. What's probably the most challenging set of circumstances you've ever had to deal with at this point, up to this point in your life?
In life in general? I think the most challenging thing is doing new things. As much as I love doing new things, that's a big challenge. And basically where I'm going in my life, I don't know. Sometimes I don't know where I'm going, to tell you the truth.
Okay. And we all walk a path that takes time and patience, doesn't it? Now, you're not married, or you are married?
I'm not.
You're not married. Are your other siblings married?
Yes.
Okay. What has held you back on that?
Well, not meeting the right person.
Okay. And isn't that so important?
It is. Because in my life, of course, I've made mistakes as well, and almost I've chosen the wrong person, and thank God I didn't.
Yes.
And
yes.
makes you relook at things and rethink things and keep your eyes open more so.
And you want to do. I sense that you are. I'm a woman of faith. You're a young woman of faith. That you don't want to go through marriages.
No.
There's something that's taken away from you each time that happens. And your commitment to your family, your commitment to your work, your commitment to people speaks very highly that there will be a commitment someday to that one person who's just right for you. And you're willing to wait.
Yes.
Willing to wait.
Yes, and I truly, truly believe in that too, because divorces do happen so much nowadays, and it's sad. And it breaks my heart when it does happen, because I know circumstances are all different, but it's sad. It's really sad.
And it affects everyone in the family, plus the extended family.
It does.
Well, Amanda, I want to thank you so much for coming in, sharing your young 26 years, and I hope that our viewing audience has received from Amanda the strength that she has for the work ethic, the realization that if we want to prove ourselves out there and make communication, make commitments, and serve others, it takes effort on our part. It takes a lot of effort and preparation. So thank you again.
Thank you for having me.
And we also want to thank our sponsors, Carpenter Nevada LLC, importer of fine Portuguese olive oils, balsamic vinegar, international teas, as well as Vila Basque Deli and Cafe, home of Pete's famous Basque chorizo. So we'll see you next week with a brand new guest. In the meantime, stay well.